What if I told you that every convincing character could be built from just three simple questions? And those three simple questions can make the difference between a grade 5 and a grade 9. So stay with me for this, and I'm going to go through it. So this is what a paper 1 question 5 looks like. You get a picture and you get two different prompts. So your library is running a creative writing competition. The best entries will be published in a book of creative writing. Either write a description of a mysterious or dangerous place as suggested by this picture, or write a story about a group of teenagers who dare each other to do something they might regret. So this technique that I'm going to explore with you today is going to be useful whether you are going to do the description or whether you're going to do the narrative. Because creating a character is going to be useful for description or narrative writing, and I'll explain how. So the problem with flat characters, examiners don't reward cardboard cutouts. A flat description is something like she was tall, she had long hair, she wore trainers. That's boring. It's like a police report. It's not a character. So top grades come from characters that have depth. They have perhaps internal conflict, they've got secrets. That is what makes them interesting, not what colour their hair is. So the solution to this is what I call the motivation triad, those three questions that I mentioned earlier on. So every convincing character should have a want. What is it that they desperately want? So have a think about, before you go into the exam, have a think about this. Create a character that you could then use in either your description or in your short story. So think, what is it that they want? What is it that they're most afraid of? And what secret do they have? What are they hiding from others? That will immediately give your character depth. Answering those three questions will instantly make your character come alive. So let's have thinking back to that picture that we saw, that reminds me of peer pressure. So imagine that there's a group of teenagers after school, they spot an old railway bridge at the edge of town and it's not safe to climb, and they dare one girl to do it. So let's just have a quick look back at that picture. So there they are, a group of teenagers, there's this bridge. Yeah, it looks pretty high, doesn't it? Maybe they're going to dare somebody to go over across there and climb. Again, you don't have to stick exactly to the picture. The exam board have made it really clear that it's meant to be a jumping off point. It's meant to give you ideas, not for you to feel absolutely it's got to be the identical bridge or the same number of people in the picture. It's just to inspire you. It's got to have some connection with the picture. You can't write something completely disconnected, but it is meant to be an inspiration. Okay. So let's move on. The triad in action. What you've got, you're thinking about your character. What is it that she wants? Well, maybe she wants her friends to see her as brave, to prove that she belongs. Maybe she's feeling a bit insecure. Maybe her fear is that she's terrified. They'll laugh at her, film her, perhaps post it online if she refuses. Perhaps she's new to the school and is desperate to be accepted. And her secret, she knows it's reckless. Her mum warned her about kids getting hurt there. Last summer, she promised her mum she'd never be that stupid, but she can't admit that in front of her peers. So immediately we're seeing a sort of internal conflict going on, which creates interest. Oh, yes, so we can sense this conflict. I've talked in the past about conflict. In your creative writing, you want to have some sort of conflict. It's a must, really. If you think about any film that you've watched, any novel that you've read, there will always be some sort of conflict, whether it's between two different characters or whether it's internal conflict or whether it's both. So here, perhaps there's this internal conflict. She wants to impress her friends, and yet perhaps she's frightened or she doesn't want to, go against what her mother. We've got the conflict between wanting acceptance and wanting, needing to be safe, desire versus conscience. So these tensions, these conflicts, give the examiner the feeling that this is a real person. It's not a stereotype. It's not a cardboard cutout. It immediately creates interest. Okay, so this is a mini task for you. Pause the video and jot down. Have a think about your character. Think about one thing your character wants, one thing they fear, and one secret that they wouldn't tell anyone. So even 3 short notes will give a solid foundation for narrative writing. And this is something you can do in advance of going into the exam. Okay, so here we've got an example from notes to narrative. So she was with her friends after school. They all walked together to the old bridge. It was a cold day and the sky was grey. She felt nervous about what they might ask her to do. Her friends were laughing and talking loudly. She wanted them to like her, so she decided to join in. So what do you think of this piece of writing? There's no real sense of conflict, is there? It's accurately written. It's well, it's punctuated accurately. The spelling is accurate, but it's a little bit repetitive, isn't it? She was, they were, she felt. It's the classic telling only. They're not showing us what she's feeling. It's telling us she felt nervous. There are better ways of showing that she's nervous rather than just telling us. They're flat, factual sentences. There's no sensory detail. We don't get a sense of what she's feeling, perhaps her heart beating, her mouth going dry. It's obvious, isn't it? She wanted them to like her. These are labels instead of action. So it's fine, if you wrote the whole story like this, you would get a pass, but you wouldn't get the top grade. So how can you improve? So have a look at this. The others crowded around, phones out, chanting her name. She felt the heat rise in her cheeks. If she said no, they'd never let her forget it. But her stomach twisted at the thought of climbing. She knew how dangerous it was. Still, she curled her fingers around the metal rail. You see, this is so much better, isn't it? We're being shown the heat rising in her cheeks. It's not saying, oh, she's anxious, she's feeling nervous, she's feeling embarrassed. We're getting that sense, aren't we, just from that she felt the heat. We are able to identify with her, which pulls us in, it engages us. It shows us the fear, the fear of humiliation, as well as the fear of doing that climb. Her stomach twisted at the thought of climbing. Yes, that's so much more. It's so much more visceral. It's so much more real, isn't it? Rather than just she felt nervous, she felt frightened. So yeah, so maybe take a screenshot of that and use it in don't just copy it, obviously, but you use it to inspire your own writing. So key technique highlight. Don't say she wanted to fit in. Show it. She felt the heat rise in her cheeks as they chanted her name. We're immediately able to identify with her. Don't say she was scared. Show it. Her stomach twisted at the thought of climbing. So much better. And what I would do in preparation for this is go through all the different emotions: fear, anger, fury, embarrassment, and actually think to yourself, what do I physically feel when I'm feeling those emotions? What happens to my body when I'm nervous or when I'm frightened? Obviously, maybe my heart starts pounding. I can hear the blood rushing in my ears. Maybe your throat goes dry. And make some notes, because if you can write about the physical expression of those feelings rather than just describing I felt frightened, it elevates your writing immediately. It instantly shoots you up the grades. So have a go at that. Pick out some different emotions and have a go at writing what physically happens to you when you feel those emotions. So wrap up, key takeaways: flat characters, flat marks. Yeah, you've got to prepare your character. So for your realistic character, think of a want, a driving force, a fear, perhaps a conflict point, and a secret, a hidden tension. And this motivation triad turns cardboard cutout figures into grade 9 material. Have a practice at that. I've got a full 10-step process on creating a character. So if you're really serious about getting a top grade, I would really recommend you doing this course. It's free. It's 10 mini lessons. Each lesson's about 5 minutes, but it will take you step by step by step on how to really crack this, to really go into this exam feeling absolutely confident that you've got a character that you can just drop into whatever story you're given or whatever description you're given. You could drop that character in and you'd feel confident. It's giving yourself a head start, if you like, for this exam. And do remember, this question is worth 50% of paper 1. So it is really worth it. It really can make a difference between one grade and the next. It could even push you up 2 grades if you really aced it. So see me next time. I'm going to do some more on character. If you can't wait for my next YouTube video, download my free Creating Character mini course. I'll put the link in the description.